When Russia invaded Ukraine, it was believed that Ukraine would fall in 2 to 3 weeks. But the will of Ukrainians to resist and Western support has meant that Putin's forces have not managed to subdue the country, even now. Ukraine's latest surprise attack in Kursk has resulted in Zelensky's troops controlling about 1,000 square kilometers or 386 square miles of Russian territory. The aura around the Russian military has been destroyed, and its vulnerabilities have been exposed. One branch that's suffered greatly is the Russian Navy. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes how the war in Ukraine has left the Russian Navy badly damaged. Before we proceed, a word on NordVPN, which is one of the most trusted VPN brands worldwide that has a no-log policy validated by Deloitte, an industry-leading Big Four auditing firm. NordVPN provides an encrypted tunnel that protects your privacy by preventing external entry to your internet traffic, as well as enabling you to access content that's blocked based on geolocation. Best of all, with one NordVPN account, you can secure up to 6 devices at the same time. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal with massive savings by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Even before the war started, Russia had a problem. Admiral Kuznetsov, Russia's only aircraft carrier, was unable to play any part in the conflict. The warship has been facing a major issue since 2016, when black smoke was seen coming out from it during its engagement in the Syrian conflict. Admiral Kuznetsov has been suffering from propulsion issues for some time and has always been accompanied by tugboats. To mitigate these and upgrade the warship, an overhaul was planned at the Zvezdochka ship repair yard in Murmansk and was initially slated to finish in 2020. However, several accidents, like the capsizing of the PD-50 floating dock in 2018 and fire incidents in December 2019 and 2022, have meant that it remains out of service. With no working aircraft carrier, the Russian Navy was handicapped to start with. Ukraine has inflicted devastating strikes on Russia's key naval assets. The confirmed Russian naval losses since the war began include the Saratov landing ship, the Moskva missile cruiser, the Vasily Beck rescue tugboat, the Ivan Golyubets minesweeper, and the Olenogorsky Gonyak tank landing ship, the Minsk landing vessel, and the Rostov-on-Don submarine. Unconfirmed losses include Raptor-class patrol boats, a high-speed assault boat, BK-16, Cerna-class and Akula-class landing craft, and a Stenka-class patrol vessel. These losses are significant, and damage to Russia's naval forces have left Putin without the usual maritime strength. Ukraine doesn't have a navy, and it was thought that the opponents were a total mismatch in the naval domain. Interestingly, Kyiv hasn't relied on its own navy. Instead, Ukraine has used unmanned maritime drones and long-range anti-ship missiles to attack Russian warships. This shows a new phase in naval warfare where traditional warships are at risk from unconventional tactics. For example, let's look at the case of Moskva. Moskva, formerly Slava, was a guided missile cruiser of the Russian Navy. With a crew of 510, Moskva was the flagship of the Black Sea Fleet and one of the most powerful warships in the Russian fleet. On April 14, 2022, Russia had to face a major embarrassment when the frontline warship, which had a triple-layered air defense system, was unable to stop the 2 incoming Neptune anti-ship missiles. The warship sank. Dmytro Pletenchuk, spokesman for the naval forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, emphasized the impact of these operations and noted Black Sea Fleet operations have been severely impeded, if not completely paralyzed. A few days earlier, he had said, "There's no longer a single Russian warship in the Sea of Azov. It seems that they began to suspect something." At the onset of the full-scale invasion, The Russian Black Sea Fleet consisted of 74 warships, primarily stationed at ports in Russian-occupied Crimea. In just over 2 years, Ukraine successfully sank or damaged approximately 1/3 of these vessels. By the second half of 2023, reports indicated that Russian warships were being hastily relocated across the Black Sea from Crimea to the relative safety of Novorossiysk in Russia. By March 2024, the British Ministry of Defense declared the Russian Black Sea Fleet functionally inactive. Ukraine's remarkable success in the Battle of the Black Sea has had far-reaching practical effects on the broader war. It's disrupted Russian logistics, hampered the resupply of Russian forces in southern Ukraine, and curtailed Russia's capacity to strike Ukrainian targets using cruise missile-equipped warships. Critically, this victory has also allowed Ukraine to break the blockade of its Black Sea ports and resume commercial shipping through a new maritime corridor. As a result, Ukrainian agricultural exports are nearing pre-war levels, offering Kyiv a crucial economic lifeline and stabilizing the global grain supply chain. This war will also have serious ramifications for Russian weapons exports, which is one of the key avenues of revenue for the country. Russia accounts for nearly 19% of worldwide weapons shipments. However, according to the latest Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, or SIPRI, report, titled Trends in International Arms Transfers, Russian arms exports fell by 26% between 2012 and 2016, followed by a steep fall in its global share from 24% to 19% between 2017 and 2021. The war in Ukraine has adversely impacted the reputation of Russian military equipment, and it's likely that the military exports will keep declining. With the Admiral Kuznetsov aircraft carrier out of service and significant damage to the fleet, Russia's naval strength has been greatly diminished. The notion that Russia was a global power before the conflict, or that it could become one soon, now seems unlikely. Rebuilding the Russian Navy will be a lengthy and costly endeavor. Even under ideal circumstances, restoring the fleet is challenging and expensive. Given the strain of a 2-year land war, it's doubtful that the Navy will be a top priority. Therefore, a swift recovery of Russia's naval power is improbable. The Russian Navy's willingness to withdraw from its supposedly sacred home ports in Crimea has undermined Moscow's so-called red lines and revealed the hollowness of Putin's nuclear threats. Despite this, Ukraine's partners continue to be intimidated, withholding certain categories of weapons and limiting strikes within Russia. But the situation is changing, and many countries are now more willing to provide Ukraine with long-range strike weapons. It can be said that Putin's position is getting precarious, and Russia's global standing in terms of military power has taken a hit. This will be interesting to see how President Putin responds to this situation.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.